Chapter 63 Molam Prayer Festival and the Vajrabhairava Exorcism Dance. In previous chapter, we've completed the introduction of the East Side Hall, also known as the Hall of Ghosts and Spirits of Faran Hall. Walking out of the East Side Hall, we may see the West Side Hall, which enshrines Buddhas of Han Chinese. And we will not pause here, as there is nothing special. Going across a narrow passage between the Faran Hall, number 21 on layout, and the Banchan Building, number 23 on layout, we come to a square, north of which is the tallest building of Yonghe Palace, Wanfu Pavilion, number 24 on layout. The square between Wanfu Pavilion and the Faran Hall is called the Square of Molam Prayer, which is for Buddhist assembly for worship and preaching. There are 3 squares in the whole complex of Yonghe Palace. The first one is called the Square of Treasure House, which is today's parking area at the gate entrance. The second one is the Gate Courtyard between Yonghe Gate number 11 on layout and the Zhaotai Gate number 4 on layout, on which many religious rituals opened to the public are held. For example, Vajrabhairava Exorcism Dance. And the third one lies in the inner part of Yonghe Palace, which is exactly the square between Faran Hall, number 21 on layout, and Wanfu Pavilion, number 24 on layout. It is called the Square of Molam Prayer, which is of the biggest of all the squares in Yonghe Palace. As a matter of fact, only this area is eligible to be titled a real square due to its big size. Usually, Buddhist assemblies are held here. Buddhist assembly was an ancient and important religious ritual of Buddhism. It originated from Bhagavan, Shakyamuni himself. After Shakyamuni became enlightened, the non-Buddhist teacher attempted to prevent him from attaining Buddhahood. Therefore, they made a lot of trouble and obstacles. Eventually, in Fire Dragon year 511 BCE, during the half months from the 1st to the 15th of the first month of Tibetan calendar, Bhagavan had been defeating the 6 heretical teachers with supernatural power. To commemorate this victory, Molam prayer was thenceforth set up by Buddhism. Afterwards, rituals of such scale of Buddhism was formally settled. Well, not anyone is eligible to hold or organize such rituals, except for figures of masters. Following the rituals of the Buddhist assembly of ancient India, Master Tsongkhapa, founder of Gelug, sponsored the Molam Prayer Festival with tens of thousands of attendees in Lhasa. In other words, he hosted the festival in Lhasa by imitating the Buddhist assembly of making offering to the 3 jewels. This very assembly has profound significance in history, which can be articulated in classical Chinese as follows. It unveiled the pivotal reform of commandments and disciplines of Tibetan Buddhism. It laid a solid foundation of religious prestige of Master Tsongkhapa. It well consolidated the grains and results of religious reform conducted by Gelug. It firmly established the religious leading position of Gelug across Tibetan Buddhism. While the adoption of the 4 verbs unveil, lay, consolidate, and establish tune the literary form as official as documents released by central government. And the implication is quite obvious and clear. It said, this Molam Prayer Festival is so influential that it set up the leading position of Gelug, settled the religious fame of Master Tsongkhapa, and gained the decent harvest of religious reform, so on and so forth. It indeed raised the curtain on the ratification of re-monastic laws. Imitating the Molam Prayer Festival of Lhasa, in February 1746, which was the fire tiger year of Tibetan calendar, the Yonghe Palace hosted its first Molam Prayer Festival. Namely, the Yonghe Palace held the festival by following the one initialized by Master Tsongkhapa. Since then, the Molam Prayer Festival has become the regular activity in Yonghe Palace. In addition, the square of Molam Prayer Festival would host many other Buddhist assemblies. With the development of over 200 years, 6 main traditional Buddhist assemblies in Luting have come into being in the Yonghe Palace. These 6 are the fixed ones that were hosted annually, though there are additional ones which are supplementaries. The first one is certainly the Buddhist Assembly of Chinese New Year, which is in the first month of lunar calendar, right? And followed by the Molam Prayer Festival according to the customs of the Fire Tiger Year. And next would be the Buddhist Assembly of the Vaishakha. Then the Buddha Lamp Festival and the Lababa Dachen, etc. These 5 major ones are the Luting assemblies, and other temporary ones will be certainly added. There is another assembly by combining the customs of Han areas called Guangong Festival. Well, why is the Guangong Festival hosted in the Tibetan temple? It is related to his characters, namely the deity attributes of Guangong. What are his deity attributes then? His characteristic attributes could be summarized by 4 Chinese phrases, which are loyalty, filial piety, morality, and chivalry. Guangong, also known as Guan Yunchang, represents the sage spirits of loyalty, filial duty, morality, and chivalry. And these 4 kinds of moral quality have been advocated by the rulers of all dynasties. For what? To set a typical model, right? As the ministers or officials, you need to behave as the typical model does. You need to carry the virtue of loyalty, filial piety, morality, and chivalry. Hence the Guangong Festival. Besides, he is also considered to be the god of war. In the west of the square of Buddhist Assembly is the Yamantaka Building, number 21 on layout. The east, the Zhaofo Building, number 28 on layout. The Yamantaka Building is actually the building of God of War, which enshrines Vajrabhairava. With respect to Vajrabhairava, he is in charge of evil spirits subduing, with deity attribute of God of War. As mentioned in previous chapters, in Hinduism, he is actually the same figure as the great black devil, namely the god of war. He is also named the destroyer of death. However, he is transformed into different manifestations in Tibetan Buddhism. He still holds the deity of god of war. The Yamantaka Building, erecting in the west of the square, enshrines the manifestation of Vajrabhairava, god of war. While it also enshrines Guangong. Thus, the Guangong Festival is hosted in the square every year as well. The Qing government would pray for the god of war each year. All warriors need to be redeemed vows if they return in triumph and sacrifice to the god of war. As god of wars, both Guangong of Han areas and Yamantaka will be worshipped and offered sacrifices. Another festival called Guanyu Knife Sharpening Day, Guanyu, namely Guangong, follows the Guangong Festival. Usually it rains on that day, the 13th of the 5th lunar month, which symbolizes auspicious omen, and the rain is particularly for Guangong to sharpen his military life. Also, corresponding rituals will be hosted. It is said that in the Yonghe Palace, besides the Buddhist assemblies, there are also some Buddhist ceremonies. The most renowned one is Cham, which is named as the sorcerer's dance in folk, and colloquially called dance to exorcise demons. This activity will be held in the gate courtyard of Yonghe Gate each year. Quite a lot of historical photographs demonstrate that Cham have been preserved. Its formal name is Vajrabhairava exorcism dance, also Vajrabhairava dance to subdue evil spirits. The traditional Vajrabhairava exorcism dance consists of 13 to 14 different series. which indeed can be defined as the dance of shaman style. For instance, the dance would be presented as dance of white ghost dance, black ghost dance, Vajrabhairava dance, etc., varying from scene to scene. These figures are performed with different masks and head ornament to present different roles, which is quite similar to today's cosplay. Dressed in various masks and costumes, performers dance Vajrabhairava, demon kings, Sitatara, Shimatara, etc. The entire Vajrabhairava exorcism dance originally consisted of 13 to 14 scenes, which has been simplified to 6 to 7 scenes presently. It was considered to be reactionary after the liberation. Therefore, it had been halted for many years, but has been resumed now. I have not watched the dance in the Yonghe Palace, but the on-site rehearsal of Da Zhao, Grand Temple, or Temple of Amita, of Huohot, Inner Mongolia. Quite marvelous. It is essentially a tradition of Tibetan tundra, which is a religious dance to exorcise demons and eliminate defilement. Since the transformation, the Yonghe Palace to Lamasery, Vajrabhairava exorcism dance would be performed on 2 days, which are the 29th of the first lunar month and the 4th of the second lunar month. The whole festival, held from the 23rd of the first lunar month to the 1st of the second lunar month, is called the Molan Prayer Festival, also Days of Goodwill. We've talked that Buddhist assembly of Vajrabhairava is hosted on the square, and the Vajrabhairava exorcism dance is performed on the gate courtyard. We will unpack the detailed process on how to conduct the Buddhist assembly of Vajrabhairava.